Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge and watched the stars through the main screen. The ship had been traveling for 3 months now, moving deeper into space than any human had gone before. Her crew of 200 people worked quietly around her, checking systems and scanning for new planets. "Captain, we are getting some strange readings ahead," said Commander Amy Rodriguez from her station. Amy was Lisa's second in command and had been her friend for many years. She was good at her job and never missed anything important. Lisa walked over to Amy's console and looked at the data. The numbers showed energy signatures that did not match anything in their computers. "What do you think it is?" "I am not sure, but it looks like weapons fire." "Big weapons fire," Amy said with worry in her voice. Dr. Kate Sullivan looked up from her medical station. Kate was the ship's doctor and also studied alien life forms. She had joined this mission hoping to meet new species and learn about them. "Maybe we should slow down and be careful," she suggested. Lisa nodded and turned to the pilot. "Reduce speed to half and bring us in slowly. I want to see what is happening before we get too close." The ship slowed down and moved forward carefully. Soon the main screen showed something amazing and terrifying. 2 huge fleets of alien ships were fighting each other in a massive space battle. Explosions lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. One fleet had ships that looked like they were made of crystal and light. They moved with grace and beauty, firing beams of pure energy that sparkled like magic. These ships seemed to dance through space as they fought. The other fleet was very different. Their ships were dark and angular, made of heavy metal with sharp edges. They fired red lasers and missiles, moving in straight lines and precise formations like military machines. "My God," whispered Amy as she watched the battle. "Look at the size of those fleets. There must be hundreds of ships on each side." Lisa felt her heart racing. This was first contact with alien life, but it was not the peaceful meeting that Earth had hoped for. These 2 species were at war, and the human ship was right in the middle of their battlefield. "Captain, we should leave now," said Kate. "This is not safe for us." "You are right," Lisa agreed. "Turn us around and get us out of here. We need to report this to Earth right away." But as the horizon's edge began to turn away, something went wrong. One of the dark metal ships broke away from the main battle and started moving toward them. Then another ship followed, and then more. "Captain, they have seen us," Amy said, her fingers flying over her controls. 5 enemy ships are heading our way fast." On the main screen, Lisa could see the alien ships getting bigger as they approached. They were huge compared to the human vessel, each one at least 3 times the size of the horizon's edge. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Lisa asked. Amy checked her communication systems. "No incoming messages, Captain, but they are locking weapons onto us." Lisa's blood went cold. These aliens were not trying to communicate. They were preparing to attack. The lead alien ship was now close enough that they could see details on its hull. It was covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Strange symbols were painted on its side in red letters. "All hands, this is the captain," Lisa announced over the ship's communication system. "We are about to be attacked by unknown aliens. Go to battle stations immediately. This is not a drill." Alarms began ringing throughout the ship as the crew rushed to their emergency positions. Lisa had trained for this moment, but she never thought it would really happen. "Amy, what weapons do we have?" she asked. "We have mining lasers, some small defense guns, and our cargo missiles," Amy replied. "Nothing really meant for fighting ships this big." "Kate, get to medical and prepare for casualties," Lisa ordered. Kate nodded and ran from the bridge. The A-Bay first alien ship fired a warning shot across their bow. The energy beam was so powerful it made their shields flicker and sparked on the bridge. "They want us to stop," Amy said. "What should we do?" Lisa thought quickly. If they stopped, the aliens might capture them, or worse. If they ran, the aliens might destroy them. But humans had not come this far into space just to give up when things got dangerous. "We run," she decided. "Full power to engines. Take us out of here." The horizon's edge jumped forward as its engines fired at maximum power. Behind them, the alien ships responded by opening fire with their real weapons. Red laser beams and energy missiles streaked past the human ship. Some hits landed on their rear shields, making the whole ship shake and filling the air with the smell of burned electronics. "Shields at 60%, Amy reported. "They are faster than us, Captain. They will catch us soon." More alien ships were joining the chase now. Lisa counted at least 8 enemy vessels pursuing them. The beautiful crystal ships seemed to be ignoring the fight completely, still focused on their own battle. "Return fire," Lisa ordered. "Show them we are not helpless." The mining lasers on the horizon's edge turned toward their pursuers and fired. The beams hit the lead alien ship, but barely made a mark on its heavy armor. "Our weapons are not strong enough," Amy said. "We need a new plan." Lisa looked at the tactical display showing the positions of all the ships. The aliens were closing, in fast, but they were flying in a straight-line formation. They seemed to think this would be an easy fight. "Amy, prepare the cargo missiles. Load them with our mining explosives." "Captain, those are not military weapons." "No, but they might surprise these aliens. They do not know what humans can do when we get creative." The alien ships were now close enough to use their most powerful weapons. Energy beams slammed into the human ships' shields, dropping them to 30% power. "Fire the missiles now," Lisa commanded. The modified cargo missiles launched from the horizon's edge and streaked toward the alien formation. The aliens seemed confused by the strange weapons and did not take evasive action. When the missiles exploded, they released clouds of mining charges that spread out like a deadly net. 3 alien ships flew right into the explosions and took heavy damage. One ship started spinning out of control, with fires burning along its hull. For the first time, the aliens slowed their attack. They had expected an easy victory against a big, primitive ship, but these humans were fighting back in ways they did not understand. Lisa smiled grimly. The battle was just beginning, and she was going to show these aliens that attacking a human ship was the biggest mistake they had ever made. The alien ships regrouped and came at the horizon's edge from 3 different directions. Their leader, War Master Vexithara, was angry that a small unknown ship had damaged her fleet. She had been fighting wars for 50 years and had never seen tactics like these before. "All ships, surround the enemy vessel," she commanded through her communication system. "These creatures fight like nothing we have faced. Be ready for more surprises." On the human ship, Captain Lisa Morgan watched the aliens change their formation. "They are learning from our last attack," she said to Amy. "We need to stay ahead of them." Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls as she fired the defense guns at the approaching ships. The small weapons could not do much damage, but they forced the aliens to adjust their flight paths. "Captain, I have an idea," said Dr. Kate Sullivan over the communication system from the medical bay. "I can modify our medical scanners to jam their targeting systems." "Do it," Lisa replied. Kate was always finding new ways to use their equipment. If anyone could turn medical tools into weapons, it would be her. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Maria Santos was working with her team to prepare more surprises for the aliens. Maria had been building machines since she was a child and could fix or modify anything on the ship. "Get me all the mining drones from storage," Maria told her workers. "I want to rig them with explosives and remote controls." The mining drones were small robots meant for collecting rock samples from asteroids, but Maria saw them as perfect. Suicide weapons that could fly into enemy ships and explode. Back on the bridge, Amy reported that the aliens were almost in firing range again. "Shields are back to 50%, but they will not last long against this many ships." Lisa looked at the tactical display and made a quick decision. "Take us into that asteroid field," she ordered, pointing at a cluster of rocks nearby. "Captain, that is very dangerous," Amy warned. "One wrong move and we could crash." "It is more dangerous to stay in open space with 8 alien ships shooting at us," Lisa replied. "Trust me on this." The horizon's edge dove toward the asteroid field with the alien ships following close behind. The rocks were huge, some as big as city blocks, floating in space like a deadly maze. Lisa took manual control of the ship and began flying between the asteroids. The aliens followed, but had to slow down to avoid hitting the rocks. Their larger ships were not as nimble as the human vessel. "Now, Maria," Lisa called to the engineering section. Maria launched 6 mining drones from the cargo bay. The small robots flew out and hid behind different asteroids, waiting for the alien ships to pass by. The lead alien ship came around a large rock and found itself face to face with one of the drones. The robot flew straight at the ship's bridge and exploded against the armor. The blast was not enough to destroy the ship, but it cracked the main window and forced the crew to reduce speed. More drones attacked from different directions, creating confusion among the alien formation. Two ships collided with each other as they tried to avoid the small explosives. Their targeting systems are having problems, Amy reported. Kate's medical scanner modifications are working. Dr. Kate Sullivan had managed to turn the ship's medical equipment into an electronic warfare system. The scanners sent out signals that confused the alien computers, making it hard for them to lock onto the human ship. But War Master Vexathara was not giving up. She ordered her ships to spread out and use different weapons. Instead of precise targeting, they began firing area effect weapons that exploded in large areas. One of these weapons hit an asteroid near the horizon's edge. The explosion sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. Several pieces hit the human ship's hull, causing damage to the outer sections. Hull breach on Deck 5, Amy reported. Emergency teams are sealing it now. Lisa realized they could not hide in the asteroid field forever. The aliens were adapting to their tactics, and the ship was taking damage. She needed a new plan. Far away from the battle, Admiral Lyreley Starweaver watched the fight through her ship's sensors. She was the leader of the Etherian elf fleet, the beings with the beautiful crystal ships. Her people had been at war with the Zephyrian aliens for hundreds of years. These new creatures fight with great creativity, said Captain Sylvana Moonwhisper, who commanded one of the elf warships. They use their weak tools in ways that make them strong. Admiral Lyreley nodded thoughtfully. The elves understood the power of adaptability because their magic worked the same way. They could change their spells to meet any situation, just like these humans were changing their tactics. Should we help them? Asked Ambassador Celestine Dawnbringer, who was traveling with the fleet. She was responsible for making contact with new species. We do not know if they are friends or enemies, Lyreley replied, but I am impressed by their courage. Back in the asteroid field, the battle was getting worse for the humans. 3 alien ships had surrounded the horizon's edge and were closing in from different sides. We are trapped, Amy said. No way out without going through them. Lisa looked at her options and made a desperate choice. Maria, do we have any mining charges left? Yes, Captain. About 20 of them in storage. Load them all into the cargo bay and prepare to jettison them on my command. Amy understood what Lisa was planning. Captain, that will destroy everything in a wide area, including us if we are too close. Then we better make sure we are not too close, Lisa said with a grim smile. The horizon's edge flew straight toward the largest alien ship, as if planning to ram it. The Zephyrians prepared to destroy the human vessel with their heaviest weapons. Ebas. The last second, Lisa ordered the cargo bay to open and release all the mining charges. Then she fired the ship's engines at full power and dove away from the explosion zone. The mining charges spread out in a huge cloud between the human ship and the aliens. When they exploded all at once, the blast was like a small star going supernova. The explosion damaged 2 alien ships and completely destroyed a third. The other ships were thrown off course by the shockwave, but the victory came at a cost. The horizon's edge was also caught by the edge of the blast. The ship's shields failed completely, and several systems went offline. Engineering to bridge, Maria's voice came over the communication system. We have damage all over the ship. Life support is down to backup power. Lisa knew they had bought themselves some time, but not much. The remaining alien ships would recover soon and continue the attack. The human ship was badly damaged and running out of tricks. Amy, send a distress signal on all frequencies, she ordered. Maybe someone out there will help us. Captain, what if the signal brings more enemies? At this point, we need to take that risk. As the distress signal went out into space, Admiral Lyreley received the transmission on her ship. The message was in a language she did not understand, but the tone was clear. These brave fighters were asking for help. Prepare the fleet for battle, she commanded. We are going to even the odds. The space around the asteroid field suddenly filled with new ships as the Etherian elf fleet decloaked. Their crystal vessels appeared like ghosts, becoming solid, beautiful, and deadly at the same time. The ships glowed with inner light that pulsed like heartbeats. War Master Vexathara cursed when she saw the elf ships. All units. We now face 2 enemies. The elves have chosen to protect the unknown vessel. Admiral Lyreley Starweaver opened communication channels to both the human ship and the Zephyrian fleet. Her voice was musical and calm, even in the middle of a battle zone. This is Admiral Lyrelay of the Etherian Coalition. Unknown vessel, we have received your distress call. Zephyrian forces, you will withdraw from this area immediately. Captain Lisa Morgan was surprised to hear a voice speaking perfect English. This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the human ship Horizon's Edge. We thank you for your help, but we do not want to start a war between your peoples. The war between our peoples has lasted for centuries, Lyrelay replied. Today we fight not for old grudges, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Vexathera's response was immediate and angry. Etherian dogs, these creatures attacked first when we tried to capture them for questioning. They are hostile and dangerous. Your weapons were locked onto them before they fired, Captain Sylvana Moonwhisper said, her voice sharp with accusation. We saw everything through our sensors. The three fleets now faced each other in a triangle formation. The damaged human ship was in the middle, with 5 remaining Zephyrian vessels on one side and 12 Etherian ships on the other. Lisa knew this was her chance to prevent more fighting. Please, both of you, we do not want war. We are explorers, from a planet called Earth. We came here in peace. Peace? Vexathera laughed harshly. Your ship destroyed 3 of my vessels with weapons we have never seen before. You fight like demons. We fought because you attacked us without trying to. Talk first, Amy said over the communication channel. Humans always defend themselves when threatened. Ambassador Celestine Dawnbringer spoke for the first time. Admiral, perhaps we should invite these humans aboard our ship. We could learn much from speaking with them directly. Lyrelay considered this idea. The humans had shown remarkable courage and creativity in battle. If they could fight so well with basic technology, what might they accomplish with proper weapons and training? Captain Morgan, we invite you and your officers to come aboard our flagship for discussions. You will be safe under our protection. Lisa looked at Amy and made a quick decision. Amy, you have command of the ship. Kate, you are with me. We are going to meet our rescuers. Dr. Kate Sullivan gathered her medical supplies and met Lisa at the shuttle bay. Kate was excited about meeting an alien species, even if the circumstances were dangerous. Be careful, Captain, Amy said as they prepared to leave. We still do not know if we can trust them. The shuttle from the Horizon's Edge was tiny compared to the massive elf ship that received it. The Etherian vessel was like a floating palace made of crystal and light. Everything glowed softly, and the walls seemed to be alive with moving patterns. Admiral Lyrelay met them in the docking bay with several of her officers. She was tall and graceful, with long silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold starlight. Her clothing looked like it was woven from moonbeams. Welcome aboard the Starlight Eternal, she said with a slight bow. I am Admiral Lyrelay Starweaver. Thank you for saving us, Lisa replied. I am Captain Lisa Morgan, and this is Dr. Kate Sullivan. Kate stared in amazement at the elves around them. They were beautiful beyond anything she had imagined, but she could also sense great power in them. Their technology seemed to be part magic and part science. Your ship's weapons are most unusual, said Captain Sylvana, who had also come to meet the humans. We have never seen mining tools used so effectively. In combat, humans are good at making things work in new ways, Lisa explained. When we must fight, we use whatever we have. They were led to a conference room with walls that showed the space battle still happening outside. The Zephyrian ships were keeping their distance, but they had not retreated. Dr. Sullivan, Ambassador Celestine said, we have wounded crew members from earlier battles. Would you be willing to examine them? We are curious about your medical knowledge. Kate's eyes lit up. Of course, I would be honored to help. She was taken to the medical bay while Lisa remained with the fleet commanders to discuss the situation. Kate found the elf medical facilities amazing, but also confusing. They used crystals and light to heal injuries, but some of their techniques seemed familiar. Your healing methods are based on energy manipulation, Kate observed as she watched an elf medic work. We use similar principles, but with different tools. She showed them some human medical techniques using her portable scanner and treatment devices. The elf medics were fascinated by the direct approach of human medicine. You fix problems by going straight to the source, said the chief medical officer. Our methods are more gentle but take longer. Kate began working on a wounded elf warrior who had been burned by Zephyrian weapons. She used her medical scanner to analyze the injury, then applied human treatments along with the elf healing crystals. The combination worked better than either. Method alone. The warrior's burns healed quickly and completely, with no scarring or pain. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Lisa was learning about the long war between the elves and the Zephyrians. Both sides had been fighting for so long that they barely remembered how it started. The Zephyrians believe that strength comes from conquest, Lirelai explained. They take what they want from weaker peoples. But you elves fight them, Lisa pointed out. You must be strong, too. We fight to protect ourselves and others, Sylvana said. There is a difference between strength used for defense and strength used for conquest. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the elf ship. A tactical officer reported that more Zephyrian ships were arriving in the area. Reinforcements, Lirelai said grimly. Vexithara has called for help. On the main display, they could see 20 new Zephyrian ships dropping out of hyperspace. The odds had just become much worse for the combined human and elf forces. Admiral, we should retreat, one of the elf captains suggested. We cannot fight so many ships. Lisa stood up and looked at the tactical display. Her mind was already working on the problem, thinking like the military strategist she had trained to be. What if we do not fight them in a straight battle? She asked. What if we use the same tactics that worked against the first group? What do you mean? Lirelai asked. Your ships are fast and can appear and disappear. My ship is small and clever. Together we could confuse them and make them fight each other instead of us. Sylvana smiled for the first time since the humans had arrived. I like the way these humans think. They see battles the same way we use magic, by changing the rules. Dr. Sullivan to Captain Morgan. Kate's voice came over the communication system. I think you need to see what I have discovered in the medical bay. When Lisa arrived, she found Kate treating elf warriors alongside human crew members who had been injured in the earlier battle. But more importantly, she saw that the two species were working together naturally. Captain, human, and elf medicine work better together than either one alone, Kate reported excitedly. I think our technologies and their abilities complement each other perfectly. Lisa realized that this was bigger than just one battle. Humans and elves could be natural allies if they learned to trust each other. Admiral, she said when they returned to the conference room. I have a proposal. Let us fight this battle together, and if we win, let us talk about a permanent alliance. Lirelai looked at her advisors, then back at Lisa. Very well, Captain Morgan. Show us how humans and elves can fight as one. The combined human and elf fleet prepared for battle against the larger Zephyrian force. Captain Lisa Morgan worked with Admiral Lirelai to create a battle plan that used both species' strengths. The elf ships would use their cloaking ability to appear and disappear, while the human ship would act as bait to draw the enemy into traps. Remember, Lisa said over the communication channel to all ships, we are not trying to destroy them all. We want to disable their command ship and force them to listen to us. Amy Rodriguez had returned to the Horizon's Edge and was coordinating with the elf tactical officers. The human ship had been partially repaired using elf technology, making it stronger than before. The battle began when the Zephyrian fleet moved forward in a massive formation. Their ships fired together, creating walls of energy that could destroy anything in their path. But the elf ships vanished just before the weapons hit, appearing behind the enemy and striking at their weakest points. The Horizon's Edge flew between the larger ships like a small fish swimming among sharks. Its weapons were still weak, but Lisa used the ship's speed and size to confuse the enemy targeting systems. All ships, execute Pattern 7, Lirelai commanded. The elf vessels appeared in a circle around the Zephyrian formation and fired at the same time. Their weapons were beams of pure light that could cut through the strongest armor. 3 enemy ships were disabled in the first attack, but War Master Vexithara was learning to fight the new alliance. She ordered her ships to fire in all directions at once, making it dangerous for the elf ships to get close. They are adapting too quickly, Captain Sylvana reported. We need a new approach. Lisa had an idea. What if we target their command ship directly? If we can capture Vexithara, the others might surrender. The command ship is in the center of their formation, Amy pointed out. It would be suicide to fly into the middle of all those weapons. Not if we have help, Lisa said. She turned to Admiral Lyrelai. Can your ships create a corridor for us? We could fly the Horizon's Edge straight to their command ship. Lyrelai considered the plan. It was dangerous, but it might work. Very well. We will clear a path for you. As the battle continued, something unexpected happened. One of the damaged Zephyrian ships sent a communication to the elf fleet, but it was not Vexthara's voice that came through. This is Science Commander Zephlin, said a different Zephyrian voice. I must speak with your leaders immediately. The war must stop. It is a trick, Sylvana warned. Do not trust them. But Lisa sensed something different in the alien's voice. Let her speak. What do you want to tell us? You do not understand, Zephlin said urgently. We are not the real enemy. There is something much worse coming, something that will destroy all of us. Admiral Lyrelai ordered a temporary ceasefire. The elf ships stopped firing, and the Zephyrian vessels also held their positions. In the strange quiet of space, Zephlin's ship approached the elf flagship. This could be a trap, Amy warned from the Horizon's Edge. Maybe, Lisa replied. But we need to hear what she has to say. Science Commander Zephlin was brought aboard the Starlight Eternal under heavy guard. She was different from War Master Vexthara, smaller and more thoughtful. Her equipment was focused on research rather than weapons. You must listen to me, she said as soon as she entered the conference room. The Zephyrian Empire is not here by choice. We are running from something called the Void Collective. Dr. Kate Sullivan, who had remained on the elf ship, leaned forward with interest. What is the Void Collective? They are machines, Zephlin explained. Ancient machines that consume entire civilizations. They turn living beings into more machines, spreading across the galaxy like a disease. Admiral Lyrelai's expression grew serious. We have heard legends of such beings, but we thought they were myths. They are real, Zephlin insisted. They destroyed half of our empire before we learned to run from them. We have been fleeing for 50 years, fighting anyone who gets in our way because we are desperate for resources and safe places to hide. Lisa began to understand. So when you attacked our ship, it was not because you wanted to conquer us. You thought we might be working with this Void Collective. Yes, Zephlin said. We attack first because we cannot afford to trust anyone. Too many of our people have died already. General Kik Samora, another Zephyrian officer, was brought to the meeting. She was a military leader like Vexthara, but she looked tired and worried rather than angry. The Science Commander speaks the truth, Kik Samora said. We have been at war with the Void Collective for generations. When we saw your ship and the elf fleet together, we thought you had formed an alliance against us. Ambassador Celestine Dawnbringer asked the question everyone was thinking. If this Void Collective is so dangerous, why have we never encountered them? Because they move slowly, Zephlin explained. They take time to convert each world they capture, turning every living thing into part of their machine army. But once they finish with our territory, they will come here. Captain Sylvana studied the tactical displays. How long do we have? Maybe 2 years, General Kik Samora answered. Maybe less if they decide to send advanced scouts. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had just made contact with alien life, and now they learned that machine enemies were coming to destroy everything living in the galaxy. There is more, Zephlin said quietly. We believe the Void Collective has been watching this battle. They have spies everywhere, machines that look like normal people but report back to the main force. As if her words had triggered something, alarms began sounding throughout the elf ship. The tactical displays showed new contacts appearing on sensors, but these ships were different from anything they had seen before. The new vessels were dark and angular, but they moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single machine. Their hulls were black metal with glowing red lines that pulsed like veins. Void Collective Scouts, Kik Samora said with fear in her voice. They have found us. Admiral Lyrelai immediately opened communication channels to all ships in the area. All vessels, Zephyrian and Etherian, we have a new enemy. Prepare for battle. War Master Vexthara's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Lyrelai, I request permission to fight alongside your ships. The Void Collective is the enemy of all living beings. Lisa looked at the tactical display showing the approaching machine ships. There were only 6 of them, but something about the way they moved made her nervous. "How dangerous are these scouts?" she asked Zeflin. "Very dangerous. Each one is as powerful as 10 normal ships, and they share information instantly. If we do not destroy all of them, they will report our location to the main fleet." Dr. Kate. Sullivan studied the scanner readings from the approaching ships. "These machines, do they affect living beings directly?" "Yes," Zeflin replied. "They can take control of minds, turn people into slaves, but for some reason, they have trouble affecting certain types of brains." Kate's eyes widened as she realized something important. "Captain, I think human brains might be naturally resistant to their control. Our neural patterns are different from most species." Lisa understood immediately. This could be the key to fighting the Void Collective. "Admiral, I think we have found something important. Humans might be immune to their mind control." "Then you must lead the defense," Lyreley said. "If you can, resist their influence. You are our best hope for coordinating the battle." As the Void Collective scouts approached, Lisa took command of the combined fleet. For the first time in history, humans, elves, and Zephyrians would fight together against a common enemy. The real war was about to begin. The 6 Void Collective scout ships moved toward the combined fleet with mechanical precision. Their black hulls absorbed light, making them look like holes in space surrounded by pulsing red energy. Captain Lisa Morgan felt a strange pressure in her mind as they approached, but she was able to push it away. "All ships, this is Captain Morgan," she announced over the communication channels. "I am taking tactical command of the defense. Human brains seem to resist their mental attacks, so I will coordinate our movements." Admiral Lyreley and War Master Vexithara both agreed to follow Lisa's orders. It was the first time in centuries that Etherian elves and Zephyrians had worked together, and they were doing it under the command of a human they had just met. "Dr. Sullivan," Lisa called to Kate, who was still on the elf flagship. "Are you feeling any mental pressure from those ships?" "Yes, but it is not too strong," Kate replied. "I can think clearly and make decisions. It feels like someone whispering in the background." Science Commander Zeflin was amazed. "Your species truly is resistant. When Void Collective ships approach our people, most cannot think clearly within minutes. The first attack came as beams of dark energy that seemed to eat light itself. One beam hit an elf ship and the vessel simply stopped moving. Its crew was still alive, but they were no longer in control of their own minds." "All ships, maintain distance from the enemy," Lisa ordered. "Do not let them get close enough for their strongest mental attacks." Amy Rodriguez coordinated the Horizon's Edge with the larger vessels. The human ship was tiny compared to the others, but its speed and unpredictable movements made it hard for the machine ships to target. Captain Silvana led a group of elf ships in hit-and-run attacks. Their crystal vessels appeared near the enemy, fired their light weapons, then vanished before the machines could respond. But the Void Collective ships adapted quickly, predicting where the elves would appear next. "Their learning speed is incredible," Silvana reported. "They analyze our patterns and counter them within minutes." General Kixamora commanded the Zephyrian ships in coordinated bombardments. Their heavy weapons could damage the machine ships, but the dark vessels seemed to repair themselves even as they fought. "We are barely scratching them," Kixamora said with frustration. "How did these machines become so powerful?" Zeflin provided the answer. "They have been collecting technology from every species they destroy. Each ship contains the knowledge of 1,000 civilizations." Lisa studied the battle and realized they needed a new approach. The machine ships were too strong to defeat with conventional weapons, but they had one weakness. They relied on perfect coordination and shared information. "What if we could disrupt their communication?" she asked. Dr. Kate Sullivan had been thinking the same thing. "Captain, the elf healing crystals work by manipulating energy patterns. What if we could modify them to interfere with the machine signals?" Ambassador Celestine Dawnbringer overheard the conversation. "Our crystals are attuned to life energy, not machine signals, but perhaps we could change their frequency." Working together, Kate and the elf scientists began modifying the healing crystals to emit different types of energy. It was a desperate plan, but it was their best hope. Meanwhile, the battle was getting worse. 2 more elf ships had been disabled by the machine mental attacks, and 1 Zephyrian vessel was severely damaged. The Void Collective scouts were slowly winning through superior technology and tactics. "Maria," Lisa called to her chief engineer. "Do we have any more mining charges?" "A few, Captain, but they will not do much damage to ships that strong." "I am not planning to damage them. I want to create a distraction." Lisa coordinated with Admiral Lyreley to execute a complex maneuver. All the remaining ships would attack the machine vessels from different directions at exactly the same time, while the Horizon's Edge flew directly at the enemy flagship. "Captain, that is suicide," Amy warned. "Their weapons will destroy us before we get close." "Not if everyone else keeps them busy," Lisa replied. "Trust me, Amy. We have come too far to give up now." The attack began with elf ships appearing all around the machine formation. Their light weapons struck from every direction, forcing the Void Collective ships to spread their defenses. At the same time, Zephyrian vessels fired their heaviest weapons at maximum range. The Horizon's Edge accelerated toward the enemy flagship while the battle raged around it. Machine weapons fired at the small human ship, but it was moving too fast and unpredictably to hit. "Now, Kate," Lisa called over the communication system. Dr. Sullivan activated the modified elf crystals from her position on the Etherean flagship. The crystals sent out pulses of energy that interfered with the machine communication signals. For the first time, the Void Collective ships began moving independently instead of as one coordinated unit. "It is working," Zephlin shouted with excitement. "Their coordination is breaking down." Lisa flew the Horizon's Edge close to the machine flagship and released all their remaining mining charges. The explosives spread out around the dark ship and detonated at once. The blast did not destroy the vessel, but it damaged its communication array. Without their shared information network, the Void Collective ships became much easier to fight. The Elf and Zephyrian vessels pressed their attack, targeting the isolated enemy ships one by one. Captain Sylvana and General Kixamora worked together to destroy 2 machine ships, combining elf agility with Zephyrian firepower. It was the beginning of a new kind of warfare that used the best abilities of both species. The remaining machine ships tried to retreat, but Admiral Lyreley had anticipated this. Her ships surrounded the survivors and destroyed them with concentrated fire. Within an hour, all 6 Void Collective scouts had been eliminated. "We did it," Amy said with amazement. "We actually beat them." But Lisa knew this was only the beginning. 6 ships are nothing compared to their main fleet. We need to prepare for the real war. In the weeks that followed, representatives from all 3 species met on a neutral space station to form the Galactic Defense Alliance. Earth sent its best diplomats and military leaders to join the discussions. Captain Lisa Morgan was promoted to admiral and given command of the first mixed species fleet. Dr. Kate Sullivan became the head of interspecies medical research, working to develop new treatments using combined technologies. Science Commander Zephlin and Ambassador Celestine Dawnbringer worked together to share knowledge between their peoples. For the first time in centuries, Zephyrians and Etherians were learning from each other instead of fighting. "The Void Collective will come eventually," General Kixamora warned during one of the planning sessions. "When they do, they will bring thousands of ships and millions of converted beings." "Then we will be ready for them," Admiral Lyreley replied. 3 species working together are stronger than any one species fighting alone." Lisa looked at the star charts, showing the vast galaxy around them. Somewhere out there, the machine enemy was preparing for war, but humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and the alliance they had formed would face the darkness together. "The Void Collective made one big mistake," she said to the assembled leaders. "They taught us that different species can work together when they share a common enemy. Now we know that our diversity is our greatest strength." War Master Vex Thara, who had become one of Lisa's most trusted allies, smiled grimly. "When they come, they will find that attacking a human ship was indeed the mistake that changed everything. They united the galaxy against them." The Alliance began building new ships that combined human adaptability, elf magic, and Zephyrian technology. Training programs were established to teach mixed crews how to work together. Research stations developed new weapons and defenses against machine enemies. Most importantly, the 3 species began to understand each other. Humans learned that there were many ways to be strong and intelligent. Elves discovered that logic and creativity could work together. Zephyrians found that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. When the real war came, they would face it not as separate species fighting for survival, but as one united people defending their shared home among the stars. The galaxy had been changed forever by a simple encounter in an asteroid field, where enemies became friends and the future was rewritten by courage, creativity, and hope. The Horizon's Edge, repaired and upgraded with alien technology, continued its mission of exploration. But now it was not alone. Wherever it went, it carried the promise that intelligent life would never again face the darkness without allies standing beside them in the light.